She cheated on me, yet we still had to live together for another month. She discarded me for a coworker, yet we still had to share that apartment that we both lived in for another month. Our breakup, or when I found out that I was getting cheated on, was on February 27th of last year. And we were living together at the time when this happened. And our lease ended on April 1st. So we had to live together for all of the month of March. And I have to say it was one of the worst months I ever had to go through. During that time, she was going to be sleeping in the bedroom and I was going to be sleeping on the couch. I could have made her sleep on the couch, but I said no. I couldn't find myself to do that. Even then, I couldn't. I still cared about her. After the harm and the pain that she caused me, I still cared. And what was worse is that every night she would go out, whether it was after work or whether she would just come home, change, and then leave. She would always be out. And I would always be at the apartment. I would always just sit there. And it would be hard. It would be hard when she came home and she was changed and then she went out the door, because then my mind would go rampant. What is she doing? Where is she going? Who is she with? And it was hard. And when that happened, I couldn't sleep anymore. I couldn't sleep. I'd have to wait until she got home because I would get worried. I still cared. I remember she would keep leaving every single night to go out. And at one point, while we were still living together, I just pled with her and started texting her, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" And I know I shouldn't have done that, but I still cared. And she would just respond back with, "Why do you care? Just leave me alone. Just go to sleep. Just don't worry about me. Stop worrying about me," she kept telling me. But it was hard. It was hard for me to do that for someone that I loved so long and for so deeply for 2 years. It was hard for me to just kind of switch it off and be like, "Yeah, I don't care about you no more." It was hard. It was very much hard. I remember when she finally got home and I confronted her, I just asked her, "Why do you keep leaving?" And she just told me, "I just can't stand being in this apartment. I feel trapped. I don't want to look around, because if I look around this apartment, I just see everything that we've built. I see everything that we've shared. And it makes me sad. It makes me hurt." And I just responded back with, "How do you think I feel? How do you think I feel knowing that all of this is going to be gone?" And yet, even then, I would still try to fight for this relationship when I knew that it was already over. I would still fight for it because in my mind, I would still think to myself, maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way I could fix this. Maybe there's a way we could be back together. There was nothing, nothing. But I still cared. I still cared. I remember I would try to sleep early just so that I could avoid her coming home, or just so that I just wouldn't have to stay up and think these thoughts of, where is she? What is she doing? So I would try to literally sleep at like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. And sometimes it would work. Sometimes it would definitely work. But I remember this one instance, I was trying to sleep at 8 or 9, and yet I couldn't. My mind was just thinking these thoughts again and again and again. But then it got close. I finally was able to finally kind of close my eyes and almost fall asleep, like completely fall asleep, until I heard the door unlock. I didn't even know what time it was. And she came in and she said, "I'm home." And at that time, my mind just said, "Oh my gosh, why did you say that?" Because I was just about to fall asleep. Now I'm wide awake again because you're here. And I responded back with, "Okay." And she's like, "Are you sleeping?" And I was like, "Well, I was about to." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "You're fine." And this is something that I still vividly remember, and it triggers me a bit. But this was in March, and it was still cold outside. So she then says to me, "I had to take off my jacket because it was so hot in that car." And this is gonna trigger me. I don't know how to feel about this, but I said, "Okay, that's fine. That's cool, I guess." This was so out of pocket, and I don't know why she said it, but she said, "I also had to take off my bra." "Okay," I said in response, and I didn't put two and two together. And you might be wondering, what does that have to do with anything? Put two and two together. She then says, "Okay, good night," and once goes into the bedroom and closes the door and goes to sleep. And I'm just sitting on that couch, or laying down, sorry, on that couch. And uh, I didn't put two and two together until probably like the next day. But when I finally replayed that scene, or that interaction in my head, it hit. It hit. And keep in mind, here's the thing, it's only been a week. A week after we broke up, a week after I found out she cheated on me. She went in this car to do stuff, and I was on the couch, upset. It was the most hurt I've ever been in my life. And yet, I was still fighting for it. I was still fighting for a relationship that I should have known was already over. But part of me still cared. I still cared about her. I would plead with her and try to talk to her and try to convince her, but it was too late. It was too little, too late. Right now, a year ago, I'd be sleeping on that couch, scared, nervous, hurt. The only time I really felt truly escaping from that like moment, or like just not in that moment anymore, was when I was watching a show. I was watching WWE. I'm a very big fan of that, and I remember it was the Elimination Chamber. I was watching it, and during those 3 hours of that show, I felt like I was not in my situation anymore. I felt like a kid. I felt like myself for just a glimpse. And that was the night that John Cena also turned into a bad guy. So it's also something I will vividly remember on how that night was. And then after the show was over, I just got brought back into reality and brought back into what I was actually facing. And again, I was back to my feeling these emotions, feeling this pain again. I was still fighting for something that I should have known was over. And right now, a year ago today, I'm probably devising a plan on how to get her back, on how to have a talk with her, on how to understand why she did the things she did. Because there would be, I think, two more instances where I would try to talk to her, try to see if there's a spark in her for me. I was just scared to finally let go. I was scared to accept it. But I know I should have accepted it by then, but I still was just a bit scared. The apartment was as quiet as I ever heard it. No sound of music, no sound of TV, no sounds of us giggling, laughing, making jokes. It was just quiet. The cats were as quiet as well, and it was hard. We would just say hi to each other briefly if we would see each other, but she would always be in the bedroom and I would be in the living room. I gave myself an entire week after the breakup, or after the me finding out the cheating and everything, to really process it, to really feel it out. And I'm probably already reaching the end of that week, or it's already been that week that I finally told myself, okay, feel it for an entire week. After that, let's get up. Let's go. It's time to get up. But I will never forget those nights. Those nights where I would go to sleep alone, crying, in pain, wondering where she is, because yet I still cared. I cared more about her than my own feelings, and yet it was still also hurting me at the same time. She cheated on me, yet we still had to live together for another month.